This lecture and the next two are extremely important for A/B testing. Getting the selector right is crucial for your A/B tests. Now, in the beginning, this might be a bit tricky, but when you build more and more A/B tests and get more and more experience, getting the right selector will become a lot easier. Now, we already saw that we can have an HTML tag as a selector in CSS. We could, for instance, change the font color of all paragraph elements using the P tag. So for instance, we could say P color red. And now all the content on our top 3 animals page with a P tag has a red font color. We could also change several elements at the same time using a comma. For instance, the H1 and the H2. And let's give them a color of blue. And let's do the background color as well. And we'll give it yellow. And there we go. And we already saw that we can do this for an ID as well. So let's get the wheel section. And let's do 2. Let's do the rhino section as well. In this case, let's give it a background color of pink. Now we scroll down, the wheel section has a pink background color, as well as the rhino section. There we go. This doesn't look too good, so let's clear everything. Now, besides tags and IDs, we can also target classes. When we scroll down, we can see a class over here. And in fact, this div has 2 classes separated by a space. One class is called odd, and the other class is called animal. And we can see another class over here for this paragraph tag with the name animal intro. Now, if you want to use a class as your CSS selector, you don't use the hashtag. Instead, you have to use a period. So let's target the class odd. And let's give the background color of gray this time. Now see the odd here. So when we scroll up, we see indeed that the wheel section has the gray background color. And when we scroll down, we also see that the rhinos has the gray background color. So when we scroll down in our code and find the rhinos, there we go. We indeed see that this division, this div, also has the class odd. Now the difference between an ID and a class is that an ID should be unique on a web page, whereas a class can occur multiple times. So the ID is for unique content on a web page, and the class is to group elements which should have the same style. Therefore, an element can only have one ID, but multiple classes. Now give this a try yourself. Get the code of our top 3 animals page from the lecture resources and paste it in CodePen if you haven't done so. And I want you to try 2 things. First, change the color of all the list items on our page. And second, change the background color of the introduction of the page. So change the background color of this part of the page. Now pause the video and give it a try. So, I hope you got that. In order to change the color of all the list items on the page, we simply refer to the list item tag, which is li. And we change the color to red. And there we go. Now, if we check our page, we see that the list items have a color of red. Now, for the second assignment, you had to change the background of the introduction. And when we check out our code, we see that the highest division, so this div, has the ID of introduction. So let's use that ID to change the background color. to blue. Why not? And there we go. In your A/B tests, it is very important to check if you have the right selector. Imagine we want the elephant section to have a different background. So let's check out the code. Find the elephant. Now we might be tempted to use the class even. Now to check if this is indeed the right selector, you could set up a code like this. So let's use even as a selector and let's give it an outline. An outline works a bit different. We first have to state how big the outline is. So let's do 10 pixels. Then we have to state what kind of outline. And we will get to this later on when we talk about borders, but let's do dashed. And the color, let's give it red. Now, if you scroll down on our page, everything with the class even has a dashed outline. So there's one here. And if we only want to change this section, we must not see this outline anywhere else. But we do. This also has the class of even. So if you want to change the background of just the elephants, it's much wiser to use the ID or a combination of the classes, which we will cover later in this section. Now, as a conversion specialist, you will come across website code which has had an update over update over update over update and started to look very sloppy. And this can make it tricky to get the right selector. An idea, for instance, could have been used multiple times on the same web page. But with sufficient practice, it will get easier. And in the rest of this section and the next one, you will get a lot of practice so you can get your selector right.